All right, welcome back to the Chopping It Up podcast. It's your boy Ferris.
Chartel's here from the A.
Hey, you know I'm back because I was gone last week, so I got to throw the horns on there for myself.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Shut up. Don't hate.
We missed you, though.
Yeah, man. I miss being here, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just weird being gone because I feel like I lost my rhythm that I had going.
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, you know, I'm glad to be back on here with you. And, you know, I missed out on a good episode last week, but.
Oh, we were killing it. It was so good.
Yeah, but.
It was so good.
You know, I wasn't there, so.
I know. It would have been better if you were there, but I did ask about your beard oil. We had Turner Girl Cosmetics on, so still in preparation.
For sure. I definitely appreciate that.
Yes. Before I ask you what the hell you're wearing, where were you?
I was out in Chicago for a little bit, wedding, and then on Sunday, when I came back, I actually went to the state fair because they didn't have it last year due to COVID.
Mm-hmm. How was it?
Man, it was actually really dope. Like, I really like how the fact that there, it was busy. Like, you could see that there was people there, but the lines were short to get in. To get your food, it was short. Wait times were good.
Nice.
So it was perfect. And it wasn't too hot. So it was just all around. It was just a great day, great experience.
Yay!
Have you been to the fair when you were living here?
When I first moved to Minnesota, I would go to the fair every year. Last year when they canceled it, I thought I was like this close to going on meds, but I made it work. And then this year I'm here and I just didn't have enough turnaround time, but I'm gonna be in there next year.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm be in there next year. I love the state fair.
And where's the Georgia State Fair?
Oh my gosh, it's whack as fuck. I think it's down here by the Motor Speedway. I think it's close to Morrow.
Okay.
Going after going to the Minnesota State Fair, there was one year where I went, of course, and then came back to Georgia. My family and I went to the Georgia State Fair, and I was like, fuck yeah. I don't even remember going to the Georgia State Fair ever, so that'll be dope. I walked up in that bitch. They don't sell no alcohol, so that was problematic.
Oh, hell nah.
It's
I would have left.
No, literally. And I thought it was I feel like an alkie, but I thought it was maybe just this stand doesn't have it or whatever. No, they literally don't sell any alcohol in the fucking fair.
That must have been sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
It must have been sponsored by something or the what is it? The RNC, some shit. I was like, y'all out here fucking around. So I was mad already, right? Because I was sober at the fucking fair. And then the food was basic fair food, funnel cakes and shit. I don't even think they had fried Oreos. And then rides were rinky dink, no shows. I feel like the Minnesota State Fair is the bar. And I think I've heard lots of Midwest fairs are really good. I heard Iowa's is really good.
Yes.
Down south.
Yes.
But Southwest. But fuck the Georgia State Fair. It's whack as shit.
Speaking of those rinky-dink rides, I don't go on rides anymore because I almost died at the state fair. In 2015 on this janky ass ride. So you know the ride that I'm trying to think. So you sit, it's almost like a pod where there could be 4 of you guys, right? But you're on the outside, right? So for visual people, you can see me. So I'm sitting right here, and then someone's to my right, someone's to my left, and then someone's completely behind me, but they're facing opposite of me, right?
Oh, so y'all are all not facing each other. Yeah,
exactly. All facing outward, right? And there's this latch, this latch thing that comes down, right? And it clicks twice. I heard everyone else's go click, click, and mine just went click. And so I tried to get the attention of the attendant. I was like, dude, my shit only went one time.
Right.
And they were like, oh, okay. So they came over and they started pushing on it, and all of a sudden it clicked again. I was like, all right, cool. Start going around in the motion and stuff. It starts going, and all of a sudden I hear it unclick once.
No.
Dude, I was hanging on for dear life. I got out that bitch. My hands were shaking. I was like, dude, I almost died in this ride. So never again. I don't mess with rides no more. I'm getting too old for that shit. The way my insurance is set up.
Look the way all Americans set up. You know that crate challenge? They're talking, people have been posting y'all doing a crate challenge, A, we got beds in the ICU, and B, y'all have universal health care.
Right.
Damn, why y'all coming for folks like that? But real, Americans are real reckless with the way this is set up. All right. So yes, before we jump into blase, what the fuck are you wearing?
For our audio listeners, I got my cowboy shit on right now. Which, they play tomorrow, so don't hate.
They play
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Super Bowl champs. So I'm going to predict it right now. We're going to get our asses blown out. Pause. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, I love my team. Win, lose, draw, it doesn't matter. Dallas Cowboys for life. So don't hate.
I don't have any room to talk because I'm a Falcons fan. So
okay.
I'm just talking shit from the same sucky tree. So all right, friend, let's jump into blase.
Yes.
All right. So I want to talk about I know you like listening to podcasts. Have you ever listened to that podcast In the Dark?
I have, actually.
Okay. Did you listen to season 2 with Curtis Flowers?
I have not.
Okay. Listen to that season. Everyone, listen to that because it's bomb as fuck. What I want to talk about is that he was released. I actually don't know when he was released, but he is suing the district attorney that tried him 6 times for murder.
That was Mississippi, correct?
What?
That was Mississippi, correct?
Yes, Mississippi. Right. Shocking. Black man. So for people who aren't familiar, let me give a little backstory, right? So this podcast is an investigative journalism podcast. Madeline Barron is the hostess, and it's bomb as fuck. Like the first season that I listened to, they actually profiled a case in Stearns County, Minnesota. And if I'm remembering correctly, long story short, I think a kid was murdered, and it just sounds like the police fumbled the bag. Like they just did not do their job to figure out what happened. And so I was like, okay.
Can I interject?
Sure can.
So it was 4 people were murdered in a furniture shop.
No, this is season 2. I was talking about season 1.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
Oh no, okay. I was just saying the first season. This is how I got hooked, because the first season, they were in Stearns County, Minnesota, and I thought it was like a Minnesota-based podcast. And so I was gotcha. This is dope. So that was like, I don't really remember that case, but that's what I think happened. I think a child was abducted and murdered, and the Stearns County police, they just literally didn't do their job to find out who did it, right? So it was interesting because I never listened to an investigative journalism podcast before. So she was going around talking to folks with her team, getting research, finding facts, and like presenting like the police department with the facts. And she was like, literally, this person said they saw something, but they're not on your list of witnesses. Why not? Because it took me like 10 minutes to find them. So I was like, damn, you're direct as fuck. But I guess that's what investigative journalism is. So that's what got me hooked, right? The format. Right. So yes, the second episode was profiling a Black man in Mississippi who was, it sounds like, wrongfully convicted of this murder of 4 people in a furniture shop. He worked at the furniture shop. And then one day he didn't go, and 4 people were murdered. And the district attorney, Doug Evans, just set his sights on Curtis Flowers, and that's who did it. And he didn't care about the facts. He just was like, this is the guy that's going to do it. And yes, long story short, he charged Curtis Flowers 6 times with this murder. He was convicted each time, but it was always overturned on appeal because Doug Evans was doing like prosecutorial misconduct. Witnesses recanted. They just came out and said they straight up lied. Like, it was all of these terrible things that happened, but yet he kept trying him and he kept getting convicted. And so when the podcast was becoming more familiar to people, it just had a lot of, heat behind it. Doug Evans recused himself from the case, gave it to Mississippi prosecution office, whatever they call it. And they declined to prosecute for a 7th time with prejudice. So now he's released and he's suing Doug Evans and the judge for basically
presided. So, man, that's so crazy. Like, I would sue the hell out of their ass. Because it's like, how many years has he lost of his life? You know what I mean? So it's just like, you can't even put a monetary value on that.
At all.
He definitely deserves to get paid.
Yeah. And I was super happy to see that because I had been listening to the podcast. I'm like halfway through and it was tough. So I listened to it when I was like driving down here, but it's so shocking that for me, I had to like take breaks because they're literally like Madeline and her team we're literally finding witnesses that were like, oh yeah, Doug Evans said if I said this, he would drop my case or whatever, right? And like, no, I wasn't anywhere near that furniture store, but he said if I said I was, he would drop my case, right? So it was just mind-boggling that this was still going on. And you know what, like, got me, Ferris? There was one witness who was his witness in Atlanta. I can't remember all of the details, but I remember the important ones. They found this witness who was, for lack of a better term, a career criminal, right? And he was in jail, and then he was in jail with Curtis Flowers. I think they had some overlap.
Okay.
And so it sounds like Doug Evans and or his investigator approached this man. They said, hey, if you say these things, we'll drop this, your charges or whatever, right? I think he was, I don't know what he was facing, burglary or something, right? Of course, he was like, fuck yeah, I'll say whatever you want me to say. And I think they gave him money. So he said what he needed to say, right? He got in court. He was like, yep, I was there. I saw this, whatever they wanted him to say. Then this guy was released, right? He went on like a murder spree. Damn. So he went and killed his baby mama and I think her mom. And then I think attempted to kill the kid, but the kid survived. And then when like the grandmother, it sounds like the grandmother of the baby mom called the police, he went on this, like, he fled, killed people along his route before they like found him. So I was telling my sister about it because she hadn't heard about it either. And I was like, now, if I was that family, I'd be pissed as fuck, because if you wouldn't have concocted any of this, maybe my family would still be alive.
Exactly.
But you released him from jail. He killed my family and other people's family when he was fleeing. And then I think they caught him and now he's in jail. But for whatever you had against Curtis Flowers, whatever like your reasoning were, now you fucked up so many other lives. So anywho,
sounds like Mississippi to me, but okay.
That's what I said too, right? Like that sounds right. And so, but I think that's the power of podcasting. That's the power of investigative journalism. Like, I don't know how they find, like Madeline, I don't know how they find these things to like, report about. But I had no idea. And it sounds like Doug Evans, it doesn't sound like Doug Evans was repeatedly elected to be the district attorney because he was running unopposed.
Exactly.
So that's why that kept happening, right? It's just so crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. Now I'm happy to hear that he's out. I'm happy to hear that he's suing, but you're right. You can't put a monetary value on life, but I'm sure going to drag your ass through the fucking mud. Because that was fucking ridiculous. If you listen to season 2, I mean, I can't get over it. It's literally witnesses. Like, I literally made that up.
Well, it's even like the Innocence Project, where they try to get people out. I know Kim Kardashian, it's crazy to bring her name out with this, but I know she's big into her job, right? Yeah, she's big into trying to get people out of prison, out of jail, who have kind of been similarly wrongfully convicted of whatever kind of crime. And, she goes in and basically investigates and or in the Innocent Project as well. Like, that's what they do. They try to go in and try to just figure out, just bring the facts to the DA or bring the facts to judges and Supreme Courts of the states and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just sad that there actually has to be organizations like that or even celebrities trying to step out and put their name out there to free innocent people. Because it's like, if due process was true, or if justice, as we call it, our justice system was, right, then there shouldn't even be in those type of positions.
Exactly. But, law people involved in law and whatever are just, I think, interested in making their jobs easier and not actually finding the truth. Whole, what is it? You're innocent until proven guilty. That's correct. Such a lie. Like, you're guilty. I prove that you're guilty. Right. And I think that happened with Curtis Flowers.
So to pivot real quick, but still on the topic, knowing that your parents are living kind of close to Memphis, right?
Oh.
Have you heard about that Alvin Motley situation outside of Kroger?
No. Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay. So for visual listeners, so look at this. So this guy right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So this guy right here.
Yeah. Okay.
So this man right here is Gregory Livingston, and he was a security guard at Kroger.
White, looks like.
He is a white individual. Yes, he is. Alvin Motley was a black man who just moved I believe either from New York or Chicago that day to Memphis, right? He just so happened to be at Kroger. He had his music playing loud. Security guard in his car. Security guard came up to him and asked him to turn it down. Somehow an altercation came about, and that security guard ended up shooting him to death. Right?
Oh my gosh.
And on top of that, so he was an ex-police officer, Gregory Livingston, the white guy.
Okay, that's the guy that was a security guard.
Correct.
Okay.
And he served on the force from 1999 to 2001, and he resigned.
Okay.
And now, this case just happened August 14th. So they're trying to go back and say that there's a couple things going on, because Kroger could be liable for hiring this man and not looking back in his background, because how are you on the force and all of a sudden you're a security guard?
Right. Like,
right?
Why would
one? Who knows what would have happened, right? In that guy's background, who knows? So Kroger may be liable. Plus, it's just, so he was charged with second-degree murder right now.
Okay.
And so they're trying to it's brand new. So this stuff is going on. There's already protesting and all that stuff out there right now. So I didn't know if your parents, knowing that they live out there, if they've heard about that at all.
No, yeah, I'm sure we're going to ask. They haven't said anything to me, but it happened on the 14th. Yeah, they haven't said anything to me. I'm going to definitely.
But it's like, one, over music, and two, okay, so why is there an armed guard at Kroger's over someone stealing some steak? Like, come on, dude. Like,
they got armed guards everywhere, like at Target too. I'm like, that is not a deterrent of crime, having armed anyone here.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's just like, dude, you work at a grocery store. Like, why are you armed?
Right.
Like,
if you want to steal some fucking steak, bye.
Well, it's like, how much money does Kroger make a year? Like, how much money are you making?
$14.99 steak.
Exactly, opposed to the loss that you may receive. It's like,
right now, look at all this bad fucking publicity. You hired a security guard to deter crime. They fucking caused the crime. Now you got a murder on your site. Now you got protesters out front. You losing way more money than if you would have just, I don't even know, like, let people live and shop.
Exactly. So
there's so other deterrents to crime than hiring armed white police officers. And people know that, yet they still do it. I just cannot.
I can't either, man.
I'm going to say something here. So
Yes.
I don't know about the racial side of things, but when I served in the Army, I knew so many soldiers that couldn't wait to get out to become cops so they could, quote unquote, fuck with people. Like, that was just like, if you got to talking to somebody about, and what's your plan and where you're going in life. I mean, they couldn't wait to deploy to do it. And, they'd use the sand N-word, but that wasn't common. Or at least not, but I was in Intel. I don't know. With the infantry, it might have been different. But I knew so many, even in Intel, I knew so many guys that just tools, short man syndrome, whatever you want to call it, that couldn't wait to become cops so they could just carry around their weight and abuse it. It's.
I totally agree with you, Michael.
Yeah.
Like,
and I see that all the time when I look at cops. I see that all the time. Whoa. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Because there are less, in my opinion, there are less officers on the force that actually want to help people, and more on the force that have that like short man syndrome or whatever they're trying to like battle with a gun on their hip, thinking that, that makes them big and bad and stuff.
Do you want to hear a cool Gabe story though? You guys, I don't know if this is going to make it on the podcast, but so Gabe and I went to a concert last week. We went and saw Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer.
That sounds
all dope artists.
We jumped on the train. We barely made it on the train, so we didn't buy tickets. And so we're both drunk and a little. We pre-gamed. Yep. No, when we were pulling out our when the cops stop, like, hey, where your or the transit guys, like, where your ticket? Like, oh, I had my ticket. It's just, and you're looking, but you're busted.
Oh,
and they know you're busted.
Right.
So we're both doing that thing, and we're I'm going out through my wallet, and they see my VA medical card, and they go, oh, this guy's a veteran. Never mind, guys, this guy's a veteran. Let him through. They turned to Gabe, you're his +1, and they just let us walk right in. It was pretty cool.
That's dope.
That was super awesome.
There you go.
See, I feel, and I do feel like as a country, we are letting down the veterans who are actually fighting for our freedom. I will say that first and foremost, whether that's healthcare, job opportunities, the whole gambit, right?
Yep.
So I definitely appreciate you sharing that story. I also do feel that what Michael was saying, that there are officers that come into the force, and I don't know if it's a complex from back in high school or whatever may have happened, where now they're the man, right? They got exactly, they got the gun on their hip. Now they can, now they can release this power. They can, enforce their will on, the citizens. And
yep.
I hate that shit.
Citizens that are just living, like you said, over fucking music. Like, what's the harm? If he said fuck you and didn't turn down his music, that's something with your ego, right? That's something that hurt you. And now you got to go and get him. Because objectively, that fucking sucks, but I'm a security guard at Kroger. You want to play your fucking music, whatever. I'm not about to.
All right. So I know this segment should be done by now, but I have another case from fucking Florida, of course. So I don't know any of the individuals' names. I would have to look it up, but I don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. But speaking of music, I don't know what the hell it is about music that like pisses people off, because there was a situation in Florida where there was a couple that pulled up. They pulled up next to this truck that there was loud music going. And I watch cases and I listen to cases like the podcast in the dark, right? And so there was a situation. They pulled up, they went into the convenience store. Apparently the driver of the truck was already inside, right? So as soon as the car pulled up, the guy, white male, there was a truck full of black teens, essentially. He didn't know that, but truck full of black teens. And, he said, man, I hate that thug music. And that's what he was saying to his wife, who ended up going into the actual convenience store. Mm-hmm. He asked them to turn it down. They turned it down. Once the actual driver came back, the people in the truck talked about it. And they were like, yeah, apparently this guy told us to turn the music down. He said, fuck that. He turned it back up. They get into an altercation. The dude in the car who pulls up, who his wife went inside, he ends up shooting at this vehicle, right? The vehicle is pulling out and leaving. He gets out of his car and shoots another 4 rounds as they're fleeing. He kills a passenger, and he was trying to say that they said that they were going to kill him, which it was proven by multiple witnesses, black, white, Asian, all people came and said, no, none of this ever happened. And he ended up getting tried and convicted for murder. But it's just like, damn, over music? Like, you're willing to risk your life, or not risk your life, but ruin your life over some damn music? Really?
Right. I think people forget that we live in a society. So I hate noise, but I'm also like, I live in a society with people, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Something you got to just let roll off. So what did I do? I left the front room where I could hear all the fucking music and went into the living room where I could hear my own music and do whatever I wanted to do and problem solve. But I think people forget that they live in a society, and what you want all the time doesn't fucking matter. Like, if you're at a gas station, a public fucking gas station, and somebody is playing music, roll your eyes, say fuck it under your breath, do what you got to do, and leave. Why? Like, who are you to think that you can like approach people this way and make them do something? Like, you're in a society. They didn't come on your
or you roll your windows up and you mind your fucking business.
And you mind your fucking business. That part. Mind your fucking business. Mind your fucking business.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's just like mind your damn business. Like, yeah, trust me.
I like the end of that. Yeah, mind your fucking business,
man,
people.
It's just like life would be so much easier because, man, I swear the next candidate that runs, and I'm not even talking about presidentially. I'm talking about governors, mayors. Yeah. People need to get out there, and this is a completely different topic in a way where it's like, all right, at the end of the day, I hate these false police reports.
Yes.
Saying that, all right, so I see this black man, I swear he's acting suspicious and he stole something, right? Or he's probably breaking and entering in my neighborhood because I had never seen him before. Dude's just walking down the street, walking his dog. Yeah. And the police come into the situation. Whether it results in a death or not, it's just like, why are the people who falsely report this stuff not charged with the crime?
Right. And I think too, in that exact situation, I would want, the officer to like check out the situation, realize nothing is going on, and go back to that person and say, why did you do this? You're going to be charged with a crime now. I don't know. I guess I think there's a little bit of common sense. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be on the police force. I don't know policies or procedures or whatever, but I'm under the impression that if you get a report, you have to like check it out, right? But if you get a report of this suspicious man walking around the neighborhood and you roll up and he's walking his dog normally, I would hope you would say, this doesn't require my intervention.
Right.
Let me go back to this person who made the report because they're the problem. You know what I mean?
Man, Chartel.
Approaching this person, whoever they may be, saying, hey, we got to report you were being suspicious. And that happened to me. I'm like, get the fuck out of my face.
Seriously.
Like, I'm walking my dog. Get the fuck out of my face.
Look,
now you're causing a problem.
You're bringing up more cases because that's like, okay, so in my spare time, I love listening to, like I said, like true crime podcasts, whether it's, I mean, podcasts be YouTube. I love watching videos of like, people flexing their amendment rights to, no, seriously, like to record, film police and make sure we're holding them accountable, right?
Yep.
That brings up another situation. So in LA, there was a police report. So there was a call of a domestic violence incident. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was in a duplex. So the people on the top floor, the woman called on her boyfriend, a white male. I don't know. I'm not trying to always bring the shit in race, but it literally plays into the situation. So the girl upstairs calls on her boyfriend who was assaulting her, right? Okay. Domestic abuse. White male. That's the situation. Below was an interracial couple. White woman, black guy. The black guy went out to take his trash out. This is by the time the police are pulling up.
Gotcha.
And there's actual footage of the shit, body cam. Stu's taking his trash out. They roll up. So they already heard over from their dispatch that, hey, it's a white male. This is what he looks like. They see this guy, and literally you can hear them say, oh, I think this might be the guy. And it's a black man. So they ended up just walking up to him saying, hey, put your hands behind your back, turn around, And he's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are you doing? And so they end up handcuffing him. He's calling for his girl. His girl comes out in a bathrobe because she was in the shower. She hears him yelling. She hears the altercation going on. She comes out. They end up slamming her to the ground. So they're right now suing LA.
Good.
And it's just like, and it ended up that the actual boyfriend that was upstairs ended up escaping and fleeing while they were dealing with this man. So it's just like, when people say that race doesn't play an issue,
it does.
I'm giving you examples, like true examples that you can go look up. Now, granted, I haven't given you names or anything like that, but I can definitely do it.
Prevalent. But exactly. Then, what's your reasoning for hearing a suspect's description and literally arresting and pursuing someone who doesn't fit that description? That's my question. Like you said, y'all heard already over dispatch. It was a white male in his 30s. Why are you assaulting? I'm just making this part up now. But why are you assaulting this 16-year-old black kid?
Right.
With dreads, and the dude you're looking for is bald.
Was Taco Bell situation? Well,
there's that one situation, and it's in California where the guy he's a black guy. He passed out or something in the Taco Bell drive-thru. And so the cops all came up like in a group and started pounding on his window. And he just reacted and he reached for his gun. So then they just shot him, like he just like I believe he actually had a gun, and I believe he reached for his gun. I'm not sure, but he reacted in the same way any human being would react when you wake up to a whole bunch of people pounding on your windows.
Exactly. And
now he's dead, and
right. And then they're going to say that that's justified because he reached for a weapon. Yeah. And it's like,
instead of them saying, we startled this man who was asleep.
Yeah.
Right.
I would pull my gun out too.
Yeah.
Right.
What? Yeah. See, that's that shit though. That's that shit. I hate it. Mind your fucking business. I like that. So I think I think we are, Mayor Kasim is running again. And people are like, he is bold as fuck trying to run after he narrowly escaped corruption charges. But he is like, I have to run to save my city from all of this crime. And I'm laughing because it's just like, what? So I'm gonna try to go to some like campaign stuff or some like town halls or whatever and like ask about that, because in Buckhead now there's like big crime and I don't. There's a big touristy spot, so people think it's tourists coming in fucking up shit.
I feel like there's always been crime out there, even when I was out there. Like, yeah, it's a ritzy area, but I mean, and I feel like that's more like stick ups, break-ins of vehicles. Crimes. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you said, it's ritzy. Like people want your nice shit.
I mean, it ain't Bankhead where everyone's broke.
Look, right.
It's more or less
people like, you know,
exactly.
Hilarious, but yes, mind your business, everybody, police included.
Yes, please mind your business.
Mind your fucking business.
Damn, that was a long ass blase shit.
It was, but it was so like important. Like, and yeah, it all stemmed from the In the Dark, because like it all ties together, because people who are in positions to actually make change in terms of law and order, right? These air quotes, they don't. They purposely pursue people for what, I don't even know what the reason was. I don't know why Doug Evans was pursuing Curtis Flowers for so long. Because my thing is, if you actually have exculpatory evidence, why are you still trying to make it fit this suspect? Why don't you actually want to figure out what happened? Because at the very least, the families don't have answers.
Because they don't care.
That's the thing. Why are you in this position to not care? Why are you trying to be a cop just to fuck with people, knowing like you could actually be in a power to create some change? Like, and then why did this system support them? That whole judge was like, so that was another thing too. Now the show's about Curtis Flowers, but that's another thing too. There was his new like defense attorney was like saying Doug Evans was purposefully excluding Black jurors for whatever reason, right? And he had all of this evidence, and the judge was like, I don't think that's right. But he was using all of his strikes.
Well, I mean, well, you know, with like attorneys, and I'm sure Chris Pham who was on here before, the judge, the DA, even the defense attorneys, they're all friends. They all go out to lunch. They all go to happy hours. They all go play golf together. Yeah. So it's probably one of those situations where it's just like, oh, well, you think it's this guy? All right, well, fuck it. Let's just bury this man.
Where's the checks and balances? Because I would hope that if I pursued a career like that, I would tell my DA friend, yeah, but also let's look more globally at this. Like,
I mean, the perfect example is OJ versus, the state of California, right? Yeah. You have Chris Darden, who was a Black man on the defense, or not on the prosecution side, the DA, versus Johnny Cochran. You know what I mean? So it's like, like, and going off of what you're saying, you're saying that you come in and you're trying to hold people accountable. Like, that's what he did. Like, everyone and their mama knew OJ did that shit. Let's be real.
That's what they say. I wasn't there.
OJ fucking, he killed. Okay, yeah. But damn well he killed Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, or whatever that guy's name is. And so it's just like, you're walking that tight line, because if you do speak out, are you going to have your job?
That's a good point. Same, I think, with police officers too.
Exactly.
We've seen that play out where they have actually.
But it's like in any other profession, if you're doing a shitty job, people call you out and you lose your job. But I feel like with police officers or just any type of law enforcement, politicians, you keep your shit. And that's just not fair.
It's the system that supports them. And you're right. It pisses me off because you can't even stand up. I mean, you can, but you're going to lose shit, right? You're going to lose everything. And then the system keeps doing what it's been doing.
Right.
So that's when people are like, just reform this. And no, fuck that shit up, because it doesn't work. The whole country is rotten.
Yes. But, all right. So, I mean, what are we getting into? We're getting all drawn off to these other topics and stuff, but.
That was it. Those are all of our topics.
Right.
I could talk about it all day.
Man, me too. Seriously. Because I've been looking at a bunch of cases, but let's save that for another time. Okay. Because, I mean, we could talk about that shit for 5 more episodes.
I was going to say, that could literally be the season.
Seriously.
All the time.
I almost feel like that would actually be dope to do a
season 2
true crime podcast.
I think that'd be awesome.
Seriously.
We should look into that. Viewers, like, send in your ideas. Tell us what you want to know about. Here, I had gotten into true crime podcasts by listening to the Atlanta child murders. And I think I was just scrolling like Apple Podcasts or whatever and saw it. And I was like, Atlanta child murders, what the fuck? That shit was captivating too. Another situation where they just saw one guy and ran with it. And we still to this day don't know who did it or what happened.
Well, I'm trying to actually, that's why I'm my phone in my hand. I feel like Atlanta had the biggest serial killer ever. Like he had the most numbers.
The Atlanta child murder?
I don't know if it's him.
Oh,
what was his name? What was his name?
We don't know. They
say it's still unsolved.
It is. They say it was Wade. I think his name's Wayne something. That's who
Wayne Williams, right?
Wayne Williams. That's who they are trying to convince us did it. But if you listen to the podcast, he ain't do that shit. And they just got lazy. And they're not actually looking for who did it.
No, Wayne Williams, though, that dude has like 100 bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, the child murder, but he didn't do it.
No, I can see that. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, you guys had, not saying you as you, but.
Right.
Right, but Georgia had literally the most prolific serial killer of all time. And that was Wayne Williams. I was trying to think of his name. Yeah, so Wayne Williams.
That's him.
He was dumping people in the Chattahoochee River.
Yeah. Yep. He didn't do it.
Prostitutes and shit.
I think, you know what? My friends and I were talking about this. We think it was someone in law enforcement, like a police officer.
Well, there was, God damn it. I'm getting drawn again.
So this is just the episode.
Right. I was going to say, there was this case in Louisiana and New Orleans where there was this officer. Okay, so there was a lot of these rapes that were going on, right? Mm-hmm. And this man it was always single women, typically single white women. He would come into their house as soon as they got home from work. So he knew their schedule. He'd come in, he'd bound, gag them, rape them, and then tell them to take a shower to rinse off of all evidence.
On forensic files. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it, ended up being that the way that he was so calculated and, thought his crimes out and the area that it was in, they seen that there was a precinct there. They're like, all right, so this precinct here, maybe it's law enforcement because, they get the FBI criminal, what do they call that? Like, what? They figure out like, all right, so he's probably a white male and 40 years old.
Behavior analysis.
Exactly. So,
yeah. Oh, profiling.
Profiler. Yeah. So FBI profiler. And they figured out, all right, this guy has to be in law enforcement. Oh, and they said the way that he would hold him at gunpoint and the way that he held his flashlight. They said most people would hold a flashlight like this. And the way that I'm showing it for the audio listeners is like a person, like hold your phone in your hand and it's typically like by your waist. That's how you hold a flashlight, right? Police are trained to hold their flashlight up by their head because it's by their face because it's directly in the individual's eyes. And if you have your gun or whatever, you can see what's going on and it's meant to disorient the individual. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it turned out to be the actual goddamn sheriff, which was wild.
I think that was a forensic episode I saw.
Yeah.
That's what my friends and I were talking about with the Atlanta child murder. That same thing. He was like real into forensics. And that was like the 70s and 80s. That was not a time when people were like, regular people like us knew about stuff, right? You only had a limited population that knew about those things, law enforcement. But like you said, the good old boy system, they weren't going to let their boy go down. So they found somebody culpable. And that's how we get to where we are today.
And they say a lot of unsolved murderers are typically like, women of the night. So, prostitutes,
sex workers.
And especially women of color who they know that there's not going to be a big
media presence,
uproar in the community about it, which is sad, but
it is.
I mean, that's life.
Mm-hmm.
Life in America.
I tell you. Yeah, it's crazy. But then, all of these things happen and people think it's not the system's fault. So I'm not like saying, okay, yes, sometimes there are like people who shouldn't be officers, right? Like you shouldn't be murdering those people. You're the problem. But I think the bigger problem is the system that protects them. Mm-hmm. And it protects bad cops and not good cops. Like I've seen a few stories that have come out. I'm thinking of one specifically. It's a Black woman. Was it New York? I'm gonna just say New York. I could be wrong though, listeners. So don't quote me. But I think it was New York. And long story short, she had a partner, white male, who was using excessive force. And so she checked him, but then she got fired. So she recently, I think it took several years. I want to say 13, but it could be 7. It took several years for her to, I think she received financial back pay. And I think she was given her job back. I don't know if she took it, but she was like, I'm not going to let this go down. I'm going to fight. And so she lost her job. She was without pay for several years, right? But she kept fighting because she was like, this is wrong. And I don't know what happened to that other officer or anything, but I just remember thinking it's so sad that the system protects aggression. Right. And I don't think it was, I think in that situation, I just knew that the officer who checked the other officer was Black and that he was white. But I think it doesn't matter so much as color. I think it's just the simple fact that the culture of the police force now, it protects aggressive and bad cops.
What's the biggest gang in the U.S.?
Get in trouble.
It's the biggest gang in the United States.
The biggest gang in the United States. It's true. And I think, like Michael was saying earlier, I think there are more people that want to come on to be aggressive and to fuck with people. So then it makes it harder to find people who actually want to help and deter crime, right? But then I also think there is, I don't think this is true. There's a lack of investment in actual crime deterrent programs, right? People just, more police equals less crime. And we all know that's not true. I think they even know that's not true.
And once again, for the listeners who are, there may be listeners who are straight Blue Lives Matter.
You aren't blue. Stop saying that fucking slogan if you are out here saying it.
So to hold people accountable is not wrong, right? It's not to hold officers accountable should not be a bad thing in anyone's eyes. But a good officer is Officer Tommy Norman. So Officer Tommy Norman is out in Little Rock, Arkansas. He literally is the epitome of community policing. So he's always out there he knows every kid in the neighborhood that he polices. He's always out there giving out gifts, food. He's like on the videos that you see on Facebook, he's over here like having squirt gun fights and throwing the football around and stuff. And it's like, he knows his community.
Yeah.
He may not live there. I don't know. I don't know if he lives there or not, but it's just like, that's the type of policing that you need because historically, yes, Black folks don't trust the goddamn police or people of color, right? Like they've never been here to help.
Right. What do you want?
Exactly. And the last thing that I'll touch on is, so did you hear that the judge in Ahmaud Arbery's case said that he's not going to allow his background?
The judge said he's not going to allow Ahmaud's background?
He's not going to allow Ahmaud's background to be heard by the jury.
No, I didn't hear that. I heard the DA is going, or is it the DA that's indicted, that was recently indicted? I heard that.
Well, so the defense wants to bring up his background because the state of, is that Georgia?
Yes.
Yeah, so, or the city or whatever he was, but essentially it's in Georgia. And so the DA is prosecuting those white men who shot him dead in the street.
Right.
And the defense is trying to say for the white men that, oh, well, he had a criminal past and da-da-da. But it's like, why is it always the fucking, what does the past have to do with anything?
They want to say that Ahmaud had a criminal past?
Yes.
And they want to bring that up.
Correct, but the judge shot that down.
No. Good. You know what? Because it's justification. There was something, I can't remember where... Oh my gosh. Yes. So the gun makers, the gun makers in the Sandy Hook shooting, they're involved in a lawsuit. They just requested, so Sandy Hook Elementary, they just requested the academic records of the kids that were killed. Like
are they trying to say that they were like truant that day?
Yes. I think that's what they're looking for.
Trying to skip school, like middle schoolers are skipping school, like.
Yeah, I think they're looking for reasons to justify it. Like, oh, well, this kid, like you said, missed school or they didn't do good in math. It's a fucking elementary school. Right. So I think that's same thing. Like, yeah, wanting to bring up Ahmaud's past, like probably trying to spin the story of, well, they knew he might commit crime, so they were saving it. What the fuck?
But that's for any situation. It's like it's always like the past. Like what does the past have to do with the current? And even if this person was a nasty person, right? Mm-hmm. Is death justifiable? Like people don't deserve to die. Like goddamn, like you deserve your day in court.
Right, but whatever is going on now, people seem to think so. And hindsight is 2020. So you fuck up, right? Fuck, I killed this person. Well, let me look back in their past and see if there's a reason I can say why I did it and create a new narrative, right?
Right.
But again, mind your fucking business. Ahmaud Arbery was running for exercise.
That is the moral. That is the moral of the story, and that is the title of this episode. Mind your goddamn business. Shit.
Mind your goddamn business.
So
now look at your fools in fucking jail.
So, I mean, damn, with all that being said, what has you exhausted?
Ferris. Life has me exhausted. But you know what? I'll be honest, though. This conversation was energizing. So this doesn't have me exhausted. I'm back to dating, has me exhausted again, because it just is. I just am exhausted with this lack of alignment. So that's exhausting, but I think that'll just always be a permanent exhaustion. But outside of that, I'm living pretty good. The weather is nice here. I'm glad you're back. Like I'm living pretty good. It's Labor Day weekend. I'm off on Monday.
Yeah, I know that's right. Now I feel like with the dating situation, and there's no shots fired at anyone. I just feel
shoot all the fires.
I just feel like one, you attract what you put out, right? And I also feel like a lot of people, whether you're freshly single or maybe you've been single too goddamn long, people can smell that desperation. They can just like, oh man, this motherfucker is desperate for a relationship. You know, like perfect example, Poetic Justice that you were talking about that you were dating that was writing you poems. Like that seems very. It exudes just like desperation. It's like I just want a relationship. Maybe whether it's with you, whether it's with her, whether it's with him, it doesn't matter. Like I just want a relationship. So I feel like like people, if you're out there dating, look, I mean, for the visuals looking at me, like, dude, like, just people can sense that. I'm telling you, they can sense that desperation.
Yeah. But it has you exhausted.
What has me exhausted, honestly, is a completely different topic that we haven't even been talking about, which is like, so for people on social media, I know. So let me rewind back. So people are upset with Biden right now, right? Because he decided to actually pull troops out after 20 fucking years in Afghanistan, right?
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
That's one.
Okay.
So now I keep seeing all these memes about, I guess you wish you had Trump back. Da 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 da. No, fuck Trump.
I haven't seen it yet. Fuck that shit. Bye.
Yeah, no, I see that a lot. And the story of it ultimately is, so as of August 26th, which was a Thursday, 2021, there was 1,000 civilians, American civilians citizens left in Afghanistan, right? As of that Saturday, there was 250. And people are in uproar still, like, oh, what about those American citizens, blah, blah, blah. Some of those people don't even want to fucking come back. They don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in a war-torn country. So it's like, people need to inform themselves. Do your due diligence. Just because Fox News says this or just because CNN says that, do your own research. Like, don't just believe what the fuck you see on an article, on the internet, what you hear from someone. I think that's ultimately what has me exhausted is people just never do their due diligence and they're just quick to just like comment or have an opinion on something that they have no idea about because they haven't even researched on that shit.
Exactly.
That has me exhausted.
I hear that. Valid.
Yeah.
We should talk about that though.
But with that being said, I definitely appreciate Michael chiming in. We always appreciate you chiming in. It's great to be back. Got my Cowboys on. We're playing tomorrow. We're going to get our ass whooped. I will admit that. But it's always, how about them Cowboys? Thank y'all for listening. Y'all can catch us on Chopping Up Official, YouTube, Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can get your content. Thank you for listening. We definitely appreciate y'all.
Love y'all.